Hello, I'm Mike. Welcome back to my personal channel. Today we're going to talk about death. I know it's not the most comfortable thing to talk about, but I promise you, if you stay with me till the end of the video, you're going to learn some important things. Now, why do I feel the need to make this video? Well, I've been talking about death recently, more relating to my finances and what happens to all the hard work that I've been doing. And when I look at my own family line and even some of my friends, I see this often where a lot of people don't have a plan post-death. Now on this channel, we talk about money, real estate, building wealth, but I do talk about things that I'm currently experiencing or that I have experienced. The reason why I'm making this video is because I am currently going through this journey. Now what happens to you after death? You'd be surprised to find out that a lot of people don't plan for their death, obviously, but also don't plan for what happens to their hard work, their money, and their wealth after death. You may hear of celebrities who just die and they have all these millions of dollars left in assets and they don't know what to do with it. And actually, your wealth or whatever you leave behind goes to your kids, but it's not that easy. I have seen some really nasty inheritance cases where families are trying to take a grab on whatever they can or whatever they can prove in court. For somebody watching this, you probably don't want to be in this situation. So let's get to it. The three things I really want to cover in this video are a will, power of attorney, and a trust. These are really important tools. They all fall under estate planning, and which is something I recommend for everybody. You don't have to be rich now to start planning your estate or planning for what happens to your money after death. Anybody can do this with access to Google. Now let's break it down. A will. As I mentioned before, oftentimes we don't think about death, so nobody plans. A will is an important document that you need to create while you're still alive. And the reason for having a will basically, you disclose just how you want your properties and your assets to be distributed once you're gone. Now let's assume that we all live to be 100 years old. So when you're old and gray and you've done your time, you've put in the work, you've enjoyed your life, and you go. Now, assuming you had a will already created, what happens after you're gone is that will would determine who gets what and how your wealth is distributed. Normally, a court will be involved, whether you have a will or not. It's just a matter of how much time you spend going through the probate court. If you don't have a will, it could take forever because family members, like I said, can get nasty. But when a will is involved, it clearly states what goes to who. And so even if a probate court is involved, the document clearly states who gets what. Let's hope in a probate court your will and your family don't take forever because everything is spelled out. But while you are creating a will, things that comes into mind, taxes. Guess what? Even after somebody dies, Uncle Sam still comes after the share. So whatever money or asset that you leave behind, say for example, you leave an investment account behind and that investment account or real estate appreciates or grows in value, Uncle Sam is going to want to tax that growth. So these are things that you would consider when you're creating your will as well. An attorney can easily help, a financial advisor can easily help, but ultimately it's better to have a will than not to. Now, power of attorney. Power of attorney is basically when you select somebody, hopefully somebody you trust, to act in your place in case something happens to you, whether you're alive or not. Say for example, you fall ill for a while and some decisions needed to be made about your business, about your health, whatever the case may be. The person that you put as your power of attorney will act in your place. And generally speaking, you can select your wife, your husband, your partner, whoever you trust. And sometimes it's just an attorney. But I always encourage people to select somebody that they trust as a family member or a good friend that you have a good relationship with. So that person can act in your best judgment. Then the last tool is a trust. We've spoken about a trust recently on the channel, and I've talked about trust funds, which generally speaking, you think of wealthy families and wealthy kids. But a trust fund can be started by anyone. In this case, when we're talking about death or post-death, you need to have what's called a living trust. Now, the benefits of a living trust is there's just too many to list, but I'll cover a few. A trust is also a legal document that stands on its own. A trust can have a tax ID, But ultimately, a trust, think of a trust as a treasure box. You get to put whatever you want in that treasure box, aka your bank accounts, investment accounts, if you own real estate, if you own shares to a company, whatever the case may be, you can create a trust and have your trust own all of these things. You basically put all these things in your trust, and then you'd have a trustee who is the person who controls or have control over the trust, and then you have beneficiaries. These are the people who benefit from that trust. Now, there are different types of trust. Like I said, we've talked about a trust fund and just a normal trust. A lot of people use trust for different reasons. Use a trust just to hide your assets or to be invisible in a way, but that's a topic for another conversation. But in this case, we're talking about a living trust. The beauty of having a living trust is it's a living document, meaning that that trust is active while you're still alive and also active when you're gone. So let's paint an example. Say you create a trust, a living trust today. You put your real estate asset in there. Maybe you own rental properties, or you own a stock account or mutual funds, whatever the case may be. You gather all of these assets, you put them in that trust. You put yourself as the trustee of this trust, meaning while you're still alive, you control whatever happens with this trust. And then you also have beneficiaries, which can include you as well. So while you're still alive, you benefit from your own trust. You can always take things in and out. You can change whatever goes into that trust at any point while you're still alive. Then the second best part is when you're gone. There's also clauses in that trust where your assets and your property and your wealth gets transitioned or transferred to whoever you list as the benefits of that trust. Generally speaking, at least if I'm speaking from my own experience, my kids. This is the only reason why I'm doing this. This is the only reason why I'm thinking about this. As a matter of fact, as I said, talking about your own mortality is very, very awkward. But when I became a dad, these are things I started to think about. So normally you can name your kids as the beneficiary or whoever you want, whatever family member or friend that you want to benefit from that trust. So that's the beauty of a living trust. Another advantage of having trust is with a will or without a will, a court can be involved. When it's a trust, you generally don't have courts involved. Even taxes, it's a way not to pay taxes. But again, that's another topic. So these are tools that I encourage everyone to have. Now, how much will it cost you? You're talking about wills, trusts, or trust funds. It scares people away because, again, we've always assumed that all these tools are only for rich people or wealthy people. But the truth is, the average person, average Joe, can set up all of these things at any point. And now there's the beauty of the internet. Now, if you can afford your own attorney, I say go for it. There are benefits of having person-to-person attorney. But if you don't have a few $1,000s laying around to pay in lawyer fees, you can go online. LegalZoom.com. All of these things can be done on LegalZoom.com. They have estate planning. They have virtual attorneys that can help you sort all these things out. And it's only going to cost you a few $100s to set all of these up. So you don't have to have thousands of dollars if you're just starting out. But I encourage you, hell, I beg you to please get started on these things today, especially if you have children. Because ultimately, we're all mortal. And then one day have all that you work for either just dismantled, taken to court, wasted on attorney fees. Like, there's some horror stories of people just losing everything. There's some horror stories where a bunch of money and wealth and inheritance left behind goes to, guess who? The lawyers. The lawyers takes everything. So I don't want you to ever, or your family to ever, go through that. This is why it is so important to adopt these tools now. Go create a will if you don't have one yet. Make sure you have a power of attorney if you don't have one yet. If you have kids, make sure you create a living trust. So that's my message today. I hope you learned something, and I truly hope that you take action after watching this video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Mike. I appreciate the time, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.